A story of challenging youth incarceration in Louisiana. Our hearts in gratitude go to the parents and members of Flick who share their stories, advocate for children, and face challenges described in this book. Flick is also grateful for all those who contributed their resources, time, and effort. Please take care. The book is intended for parents, adults, and mature youth and is not recommended for children without the supervision and guidance of an adult. The content can be triggering, especially for those most negatively impacted by incarceration and systemic racism.
The Chief Justice continued the story of Act 1225 and how, essentially, the bill was divided into three parts: well-being, education, and justice. These were like teams, seeking to help kids like Noah. The well-being team was in charge of getting every child and their families everything they needed: health, a home, food, safety, security, and help handling their emotions. Noah sighed. He wished the helpers had known he needed help.
State agencies that deal with children came together to form the Children's Cabinet in order to lift children and their families out of poverty. The Children's Cabinet is part of the Governor's Office and is responsible for funds, programs, and services related to children and their families. Act 1225 gave the Children's Cabinet new duties to submit a plan to improve services for incarcerated youth, improve communication and systems, and address the lack of funding. The bill also outlined priorities including mental health services, alternatives to incarceration, and community programs. But the changes that Act 1225 called for were never fully carried out.
Because the children and families had so many needs, the leaders of the well-being team needed a lot of information, like how many children don't have food? And why are schools sending so many children home from school? They also realized that children in different places needed different things.
In 2004, lawmakers passed Act 555 to require local parishes to create Children and Youth Planning Boards, CYPBs, to look over, coordinate, prioritize, and measure all available local services and programs that address the needs of children and youth. The CYPBs were given the task of preventing and minimizing the incarceration of youth by helping local community services work together to create a safety network for children and youth.
The education team dealt with the second part of 1225 and was made up of teachers, principals, school staff, and everyone helping to run schools and make rules for schools and children. The chief told Noah that these helpers were very important because they played a special part in protecting and helping children.
Act 1225 recognized that schools and the justice system have to work together. It required the Board of Elementary and Secondary Education, BESE, and the Juvenile Justice Planning and Coordination Board to come up with a model master plan for improving behavior and discipline in schools. But unfortunately, it did not create a process for evaluating the school's efforts or holding the schools accountable.
The third part of Act 1225 is justice. Once a child got into trouble, it was up to the justice team to help that child understand that what they did was wrong and to teach them different ways to behave. Some of these helpers include judges, lawyers, advocates, and people working in jails and prisons. While listening to the Chief Justice, Noah realized that it was the justice team that had sent him away from his family and put him in prison. He couldn't help but interrupt. The justice team doesn't help kids. I don't deserve to be here away from my mom. The Chief Justice looked sadly at Noah because she agreed. The information gathered by those helpers shows that what's best for children is to keep them in their community and in contact with their families instead of sending them away.
Community-based supervision programs for the youth increase the rehabilitative benefits to the youth, such as fewer youth re-entering the system, better treatment, reduced stigma, increased family participation, and lower costs than confinement. It's also better for the whole state of Louisiana to stop sending kids to prison, because the state is spending more on locking them up in cells than on teaching them in schools. Research has consistently shown that diversion and community supervision programs are more cost-effective than incarceration. In Louisiana, it can cost $155,000 per year to imprison a child, but only $11,000 a year for public education.
Noah wondered, then why was he in prison?
Take a few deep breaths and think about why Noah's in prison. Then write one thing you could do to help kids like Noah.
The Chief Justice paused. There is no easy answer, but what I can tell you is that many people are fighting for things to be better. Acts 12:25 is like a giant puzzle that lawmakers put together. But then all the adult helpers walked away, each holding a piece. We have to all come together for us to put the puzzle back together and create the world we want to see for children.
Flick has developed a 3-point platform for our Let Kids Be Kids campaign, which urges Louisiana's leaders to come together to holistically address the critical needs of children related to mental health, education, and poverty. Looking through Flick's lens, we believe that if the state did what it was supposed to do for children's mental health, education, and poverty, there would be less need for the justice system.
Well, can we put the puzzle together again? Asked Noah. The Chief Justice stared at him for a moment. I hope so. That's why I'm here. We need your help, Noah. We need your mom's help. We need your friends' help. We need the youth, their parents, the lawmakers, and the entire community to come together. We need all of your stories and all of your voices. Okay, agreed Noah. I want to help. How do I begin?
We need your help too. Visit fflic.org and follow us on social media at fflicla on Instagram, Facebook, and X for a list of things that you can do today to make a difference.